Hello, welcome to Dungeon Dwellers Podcast. I'm your host, Justin. It's today's my latest fantasy month review. We're reviewing Stephen King's The Dark Tower, The Gunslinger Born. This is published by Marvel Comics. It's a graphic novel version of the Dark Tower books by Stephen King. Which I think there was like 5 or 7 books in that series. I can't remember. I only have the first 3. This is 7 issues, and it's priced at $19.99 US, $26 Canadian, which is it's a bit pricey. It's adapted by Peter David, who's most famous for his Incredible Hulk run, and like he also did X Factor, which was pretty pause if you ever read X Factor, but it was okay, I guess. I can't remember. I never bought the second volume because it was like so paused. And art by Jae Lee, and you have covers by like a bunch of different people. Like Joe Quesada does a cover. You got Richard Isanove, whoever that is, and like you got Stephen McNiven, who's a really cool artist. So how this differs from Stephen King's books, where the first book is basically Roland as an adult, tracking the Man in Black through the desert, trying to capture him so he can take him to the Dark Tower, which is like this citadel of cosmic power, or whatever the fuck. I can't remember. It's been a few years since I read the Dark Tower. I've only read the first 2 books, and yeah, I need to read the third one at some point. But I had like 2 books that were like, I forget the term, but there were huge editions, right? And then I ordered the third book. They fucking get me a fucking paperback version, not the huge like cool book versions like I had like previously. And it's like I ordered the same fucking books from the same fucking person. It's like, how could you make this fucking mistake? But it's like whatever. The reason why I'm reviewing this for Fantasy Month, like a lot of people might say, well, this isn't like fantasy, even though it's kind of has a dark fantasy feel. But yeah, it's the reason why is because I'm kind of a Stephen King fan, even though I don't tend to read a lot of his books. I've only read a few, and like some of them I didn't even finish because they're so long. It's like, oh, I could just watch the TV series version or some movie version. But yeah, though I refuse to watch the Dark Tower movie for not racist reasons. It's just that like it just looks bad, and I am a fan of Idris Elba. I have a problem when I just think Idris Elba should like just stop taking roles like where the character was originally a different race or whatever, because it's kind of like, dude, like, because like the main character Roland Deshawn, or however you pronounce his name, he was based off the Man with No Name from the Sergio Leone movies, where the whole backstory behind the Dark Tower is that Stephen King was a fan of Lord of the Rings, and he wanted to have his own epic novel, kind of like the Lord of the Rings. So he wrote books like It and The Stand. But when he finally saw well, I think the It and Stand came out after that. But eventually he saw like, this was his words in the introduction to the Dark Tower book. If you read that first one, where he said he watched the I forget which one it was. I'm gonna assume it was the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, where he watched like, you know, some Clint Eastwood spaghetti western and was like, huh, this is fucking beautiful. I'm gonna use this as the theme for my fantasy series. So it's basically a dark fantasy, but set in this like Wild West setting. But there is like it's Wild West, but it's implied that it's like almost like a post-apocalyptic um, world, because there's like old oil fields, there's like old tanks and shit like that, but like the people living now don't know how to work it. There's mutants. The main bad guys are the Crimson King, which is this weird spider demon monster, who may or may not be the same monster from It, because there's like references. Apparently, a bunch of Stephen King's books are connected. Like basically, the Dark Man, which is the sorcerer that works for the Crimson King, who goes by different names. Like he goes by Walter O'Dim or Martin Broadcoke, and others. Is basically the devil, and like he's in like other Stephen King books. Like he's in The Stand, he's in The Cell. He was also in this movie, I forget what it's called, but it was starring Combe Fior, the Canadian actor, and what's his name? Not Tim Sale, the guy who voice acts Superman in the Superman animated series. He starred in that mini movie. Let me look it up. Fuck it. Who cares? So what makes the Dark Tower book different? Graphic novel series different from the novel series is that the comic books are they're fuck, I forgot the term. Whatever. They're how did I fucking forget the term? I was thinking about it all day. Basically, the Dark Tower book, it takes place when Roland's an adult, and it flashes back to shit that happened in his life. While in the comic book series, it starts off when he's a kid, so it's chronologically. It tells the story chronologically, unlike with the book series where it starts off when he's adult. Okay, so the main story is that Roland Deschain is a gunslinger. Gunslingers in this world are like the nobles. They're like the warrior class. He is basically the son of Stephen Deschain, who is, I'm assuming, is like a prince, a crown prince, who's going to become king later on. And Roland is friends with Alan and Cuthbert, which Alan is the fat one who has the touch, which is a lot like The Shining from the Shining books, where it's like he's like a psychic, and Cuthbert is like the comedic relief one. What ends up happening in the beginning of the book is that Roland has to take on the tests of manhood so he can become a gunslinger and be a man, right? But if he fails his test, he gets exiled west, where that west is where the wastelands are. And at the back of the book, besides from the beautiful covers, you get some maps. Here, you get some maps. And the reason why he's only 14 at this time. The reason he takes the test now is because he's tricked by Martin Broadcoke, who is actually the evil wizard Walter O'Dim, who works for the Crimson King, who's the enemy of the gunslingers, who's working alongside Farson, who is an enemy of the gunslingers and the group they're a part of called the what was it called? The Affiliation, right? And the reason how he gets tricked into taking the test so early, even though there's so much at risk is because Walter, Martin Broadcock is having an affair with Roland's mother, and makes a snide remark at him that go find your hand, which in the book they don't. The context with that is not so clear here, but the context basically in the book version, he was coming home to jerk off after training, but they took that out of the book. But after his finding his mom in bed with Martin, Martin makes like that snide retort, so to goad him and gold Roland into taking the test of manhood, hoping that he would fail and end up being sent west, which it didn't happen. His dad shows up the next day after finding him Roland in bed with a whore, because he wasn't, after becoming a man, he didn't feel like jacking off no more. He wants to get laid. So after finding him with a whore, he reminds him, have you forgotten the face of your father? Forgetting the face of your father is considered shameful. Like, there's a lot of in the book there's a lot of clever references and gestures, terminology that you're gonna have to figure out what it is as you're reading the book, like things like ka and katet, slang words like Kennett, or what was another one? I don't know. It doesn't matter. So after meeting with his dad sends him and his three friends, his two other friends, on a mission to this town to find out what Farson's doing, and to get some horses for the affiliation, the army, right? So after that, they get in conflict with the minions of Farson. What were they called? The coffin makers, big coffin hunters. Sorry. And Roland falls in love with this girl, and it all goes, after a big epic battle, it all goes to hell after that. And then you see they're also after this magic crystal that belongs to the Crimson King. So it's just like the book series. It is very dark. There's suggestive sexual references. A girl gets raped. Animals get abused. People die in horrific ways, and it's rated for mature content. And if you ever read the books are there's racist terminology like the N word, the F word, shit like that. Besides from that, I really like this book. The art by Jae Lee is very good, and the writing is pretty much copy and paste from the books, except for the narration. I think the narration, Peter David came up himself, which the narration is probably the weakest part of the book. But I'm saying this is a great book. If you're a fan of westerns and you're a fan of dark fantasy, this is like a great fucking fusion of the two genres. And you have your horror elements also, especially with the Walter O'Dim character, the Man in Black, who's this evil sorcerer, and like the shit he does, and he's this huge fucking threat, and it kind of doesn't make sense how Roland eventually defeats him, which he defeats him in the first book, by the way, so it's not that much of a spoiler, but it just feels like he wins because of Deus Ex Machina, but whatever, right? And I should mention, they spoil shit right away Just so you know. So I'm giving this 8 out of 10. Peace.